Hi everybody, my name is Tamara Tifft. I'm on the Scientific Advisory Board here at Amare, and we're here to help you maximize your mom mojo today.
Exactly, and I'm Sean Talbot. I'm the Chief Science Officer for Amare Global, and we're a mental wellness company. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about mental wellness and what that means and how that relates to your mom mojo and how we can help you restore that today.
Yes, I actually have an acupuncture practice in Santa Monica, and I specialize in mental wellness, and I see a lot of different mothers dealing with a lot of different problems. And the great thing is there's other options for you. We have a company here that's really focused on mental health and things that you can do to help with anxiety, depression, postpartum issues, sleeping issues, because we know that's a big problem, is getting that sleep in helps tremendously with the mood.
Tremendously, exactly. So my background is in nutritional biochemistry. That's what my PhD is in. So I look at this mental wellness space from a biochemical perspective. How can we use nutrition and supplements especially, but also mindfulness and meditation and exercise and sleep patterns, and how can we use all these lifestyle interventions to help balance the biochemistry, but then how can that translate into the psychology? So how can we maximize your microbiome and your gut-brain axis to help you with depression and stress and anxiety and fatigue and all those sorts of things? There are some natural options that are very, very effective, and not only just effective, clinically validated, so that we can see that they have not just statistically significant changes, but meaningful changes. I mean, you see these kinds of people in your practice all the time, right?
Absolutely. I have people coming to me that haven't slept for months, and I teach them some different types of mindful techniques, and even have them listen to different kinds of music before they go to bed, or if they're dealing with an anxiety-ridden day, maybe put on something called alpha wave music just to help calm down their spirit and their heart. There's so many different options
so there's actual music you can listen to that'll change your alpha wave patterns?
Absolutely. So these are your stress waves. The alpha wave is a place where you are in a state of calm, and you can download them on YouTube, or we're actually coming up with an amazing platform as well that all of these are going to be available to people.
That's great.
So you listen to this music, and it brings you from this chattery, stressed out mind down to a very calm state.
Right. So I've never measured it with music like that, but we've done it with amino acids. There's an amino acid that we use in some of our products here at Amare that can take you from a state of beta waves, which are brain beta waves, which are associated with tension and anxiety, and bring you to that alpha wave state. So within about 45 minutes, people are feeling what we call relaxed alertness. It's more alpha waves. It's this, people will actually try some of our products and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I'm feeling it. Can I really be feeling it that fast?" But it's a pretty rapid change, right?
Yeah, definitely. Are you talking about L-theanine right now?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
I think that's my favorite of
Yep.
all of the amino acids. You can also get it in matcha, right?
Right, exactly.
Super high.
So this amino acid we're talking about, L-theanine, is found in green tea leaves, and if you get it in the matcha form, that still has it isn't extracted out like it would be in a green tea extract. The matcha still has the theanine there, so you can get that nice relaxation effect.
Yeah, that's nice. So is it our mood that has the L-theanine?
No, mood doesn't have it, but Mentobiotics has it. So a big part of our story here is all around natural solutions for mental wellness, but a big part that maybe a lot of people who are watching have not heard of before is this idea of the microbiome. So the microbiome is this collection of bacteria in our guts. It's 100 trillion bacteria, and 100 trillion is a big number. That is literally more stars than there are in the Milky Way. And so those bacteria, there are good ones and there are bad ones. And what makes the good ones good is that they produce neurochemicals that can make us feel certain ways. So the good ones produce serotonin and dopamine and these feel-good neurotransmitters, so much so that the microbiome and the gut we call the second brain. It produces more serotonin than the brain does, and it produces more dopamine than the brain does. So a lot of what we talk about is you have to get your gut right in order to feel better, and so that's a big part of our story. You see people with gut problems all the time, right?
I think it's amazing, just the statistic that people don't know, that our gut creates 90% of our serotonin, right? And 50% of our dopamine.
Right.
So a lot of the time with pharmaceutical drugs, we're going straight to the mind and to the brain, and our new approach is treating the second brain or the gut.
Right.
So there's actually different probiotic strains that have been scientifically studied to help with mental health, to help with depression, to help with anxiety.
Yep.
So we have the strains that do that, and then we also have the different strains that just help with gastrointestinal health, and which, you know, if you're anxious, a lot of the times you'll have IBS and these bowel problems.
Right.
Because of your mood. So
right. Almost 100% of the time, you know, you'll see that somebody who's having a psychological issue also has a gut issue, and when you point it out to them, they go, oh yeah, I do. I have that, you know, nervous stomach or reactive stomach, or some food set me off. And this is one of the reasons that eating a certain diet, like a Mediterranean diet, for example, has been shown to be as effective in preventing and actually treating depression as some of the pharmaceutical drugs that are out there, all from your diet.
Yeah, and exercise is another thing.
And exercise as well is as effective as a lot of the pharmaceutical antidepressants.
There's scientific studies showing that just taking a 20-minute run a few times a week is just as effective as pharmaceutical drugs.
Yep.
And pharmaceutical drugs are, of course, needed when they're needed, but we're just here to show you that there is a middle ground and there is a place, there's options for you.
Right, right. And a lot of people don't realize those options are there, right? So a big part of what we're doing with Amara is really educating people about the fact that, hey, you know, if you're sensing something here, this depression or this anxiety or this stress in your head, it's not all in your head, right? A part of it might be there, and that's where we can help with neurotransmitters, but a part of it might be in your gut, that second brain. A part of it might be in what we call the axis, the immune system and the nervous system and all the, you know, inflammation that happens in between those two brains as they're communicating with each other. It could be, you know, that you don't have the right essential nutrients, right? You don't have the right vitamins and minerals or omega-3s or probiotics. You know, we were talking about different kinds of probiotic strains. The benefits of probiotic strains are very strain dependent. So you probably have people all the time who say, oh, probiotics, I'm doing that already. But unless you choose the right probiotic strain, you don't know what benefit you're going to get. It's kind of like if somebody said, you know, I'm going to go to Home Depot and get some tools. You don't know, are you getting a hammer? Are you getting a blowtorch? Are you getting, those do different things. It's the same thing for probiotics. There are some that help with depression. There's some that help with constipation. And there's ones that help all in between. So we've identified those strains and we put them in specific products so we get specific benefits.
Yeah, and you have to know that you're getting a good probiotic and the product is good and the probiotic strains are actually alive. So another way that you can get this is through food and through diet. You can try fermented foods like kimchi, or a lot of people know about kombucha now.
Yep.
That's a really easy
kombucha is hot and such a good thing for your general gut health, right?
And it tastes good.
Yeah,
and it's
tastes
really
good,
low in sugar.
Yep.
You know, you taste it and you think that it's like juice, but it has 2 to 4 grams of sugar.
Yep.
Which is
and tea, right? I mean, kombucha is fermented tea plus whatever other
black
ingredients
tea or
that they put in
green
there.
tea as well. And then, you know, sauerkraut and kefir, there's yogurt, people know about yogurt. So these are important for kids too.
Very important for kids because, you know, a lot of times, well, I mean, all the time, kids have some of the same interactions with the world that adults do that can disrupt your microbiome and disrupt your gut-brain axis. So things that can disrupt your microbiome are poor diet, inadequate sleep, inadequate exercise, a lot of stress. Even, you know, the water we drink, right? Chlorinated water. Chlorine's going to kill bacteria in your pipes. It's also going to kill bacteria in your gut. So, you know, all of these hits, all of these stressors on our microbiome get transferred through the rest of our body and end up stressing out our minds. And we really need to do something to get people back into the balance so they feel the way they want to feel.
Yeah, so kids can also take probiotics, and they need them because a lot of women have cesareans in this day and age, and that's the fetus's first dose of bacteria is through the vaginal canal. So,
that's right.
You know, it's really important to introduce these good bacteria to children and to infants as well, right?
That's right, because that balance in their microbiome, if it stays unbalanced for a period of time, that'll result in these mental wellness challenges that we're
so
that
get
we're
them while they're
talking about.
young.
But then get them while they're young, because if you don't, those mental wellness challenges will exacerbate. They'll become more tense and more stressed out and less able to relax. And then eventually they'll start developing physical ailments, you know, that lack of sleep will lead to. So let me give you an example. In the kind of work that I do, I study an area called psychological vigor, which is very similar to this sort of mojo idea that we're trying to talk about today.
It's your chi.
So it is your chi.
Your chi in Chinese medicine.
So in Chinese medicine, chi is exactly analogous to this area of psychology called vigor. And low vigor, we can also measure in these studies as burnout. So if you have burnout, your vigor is low, your chi is low, your life force is low, you're just not motivated. And you know, think about the things that can lower your vigor. All the things that can disrupt your microbiome, your stress and your lack of sleep and always being on and always giving to somebody else like moms do all the time. That just sucks your vigor away. But we can restore that. And probiotics are a big piece of that, and proper diet is a piece of that, and fermented foods is a piece of that, and mindfulness, and
getting some solo time, doing a little bit of mindfulness. Doing what I like to teach people that's really easy is doing just a little body scan. Even just check in with your head, check in with your body head to toe. You know, are you stressed out? Are you holding tension somewhere? And try to do some deep breaths throughout the day just to let go of the stress as well.
So how do you have your clients and your patients do that? Do they just do it when they feel stressed, or do you have them schedule it? Like
I love it
when
I love that. I love it when people will actually just put it into their phone twice a day, because whether you're in your office chair, whether you're just dealing with groceries or food or cooking, you can just check in with your body, check in with your ergonomics, check in with what your brain is doing. Just take some deep breaths and calm down a couple times a day. It really will just help with all over stress and
are they
mood.
doing like specific breathing regimen, or is it just more like progressive relaxation down the body?
I love to teach people how to breathe, because most of us forget as adults. Breathing into your stomach, we start breathing just into this area up here in our ribs, and that actually creates more anxiety. So if you take the breath all the way down to the bottom and you see the abdomen go in and out, this is how a proper breath should be, and that just alone will help with anxiety.
Right. So there's lots of things that we can do from a natural perspective, and whether it's a dietary supplement, whether it's breathing, whether it's taking time to progressively relax, whether it's the fermented foods. There's lots of things that we can do, and that's really what our mission is to explain to people you have options. Because a lot of times, and I wonder if you experience this with your clients and patients, is that I see this in the research studies that we do, that when someone's in that state, when they're stressed out and they have these mental wellness challenges, they almost like feel that they're the only ones that are experiencing that.
Definitely.
And they won't reach out to somebody for help, right?
There's that shame element, or it's taboo, but I feel like it's becoming more and more open with social media and just with people being more open with depression and mental health issues, that people are reaching out more. It's becoming more normal. And with Amare, what's so amazing about us is that we're creating this place where people can share with one another their experiences, and whether it's supplements or diets that are working for them, or it's a place where people can get close and so they're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah, and different things will work for different people, right? So having that connection and having that ability to kind of share, you can learn, like, you might find something that works for you is going to work for somebody else, or something that works for you might not work for someone else, but they'll find from someone else the thing that works for them. Like, they can kind of customize a regimen almost.
Definitely.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. So this idea of taking someone and improving their mental wellness, we're not talking about finding people that have like frank depression, right? That isn't it. It really is. We talk about this mental wellness continuum. So no matter where you are on it, you could have a more severe issue, or you could have a milder issue.
Everyone has a little bit of stress in their life.
Everybody has a little.
We
bit
all
of
have
stress
some
in their
stress
lives, right?
that
Even
we can improve.
Some of the athletes that I work with, they're at the top of their game, and people look at them and
say,
how in the world does that person need any of this? But think of the stress that they're putting themselves under from a competition standpoint and a physical training standpoint, and a lot of the athletes will have to travel for their competition, so they're not getting the right diet.
I know firsthand because I was a
well,
gymnast.
You're an elite gymnast.
Yeah, so if I would have had something like this then, or even my teammates, I mean, I'm telling you, this would be life-changing for me.
Yep.
I love that this is available to athletes now, because this didn't, this is something that didn't used to be available.
Right.
So it's great.
Right, exactly. Now this is a massive issue, I think, that sometimes people, we said that if you're in that situation, you sometimes don't feel like there's anybody else experiencing it, right? So a lot of this connection that we're bringing to the world with Amare is to say, hey, you're not alone. But when we look at the statistics, it's important for people to know this, I think, that we're literally talking about hundreds of millions of people around the world. So much so, World Health Organization has pegged these mental wellness challenges, especially chronic stress, as the epidemic of the 21st century, right? So lots of people are in that category. Lots of people are spending billions of dollars on these kinds of solutions, and they're not really getting the relief that they want. And I personally think, as a scientist, one of the reasons for that is that these mental wellness challenges end up being these multifactorial issues, right? It's not just your serotonin that's out of balance, right? It's all kinds of things. And so if you can come at that multifactorial problem with a multifactorial solution, then you're going to be able to help a lot more people. And as a practitioner, that's kind of what you do, right? You look to see what is out of balance in your patients, and then you try to match the right regimen,
you try to
right?
create the right treatment plan for each person individually.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what we're kind of trying to do with this new platform we're creating.
Exactly. So, where would you, I'd be curious to see if someone who's watching right now, if they came into the door of your office, right, into your practice, like, how do you first evaluate them? Like, if they could sort of self-diagnose from where they're sitting in front of their computer right now, what kinds of questions should they be asking themselves?
Yeah, our energy levels. How are you sleeping, as we spoke? Are you having vivid dreaming? Do you have nightmares?
Right.
Do you feel rested?
Dreaming, right? What if you're not dreaming? That's a signal too.
Yeah, absolutely. But energy levels, that vigor that you're talking about, that's a big part of it. But just looking at someone's body as well, your posture, you have black circles under your eyes. Do you even have enough time to look in the mirror and focus on yourself for 5 minutes a day?
Right. So
as a mother,
I'm going to kind of anticipate what I know some people are probably thinking right now, right? They're probably thinking, well, I'm a mom, especially new moms.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They might think, well, that's the way I'm supposed to feel, right? I'm supposed to have all this stress, and I'm just supposed to soldier through it, right? Mm-hmm. I think we would say no, right?
Absolutely not.
There's a way for you to feel better and to feel vibrant and to have that mojo back, right? Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, and even sometimes a lot of the times when my patients are feeling super fatigued and exercising helps, just taking a walk around the block, getting what we call the chi moving. Because when you're high stress, you're not sleeping, the chi stops moving.
Right, and
that creates depression.
It's stagnant, right?
And it's called stagnant chi. Yeah. Exactly. So, and that stagnation of chi creates depression. Mm-hmm. So just keep moving, even if you don't have to go run miles and miles, but just taking a little walk or do something nice for yourself.
These small steps can really be meaningful, right?
That's what I do. I try to do baby steps with people. Yep. I'm not asking people to meditate for 40 minutes a day. Yep. I'm asking them to take 2 minutes and just check in with their body. Take a walk around the block. Take a bath. Do something for yourself. It's really important because your happiness is going to rub off on all of your family members.
Yeah, exactly. And we see it in the research studies that we do, that it's this idea of if you're out of balance a little bit in all of these different areas, it can really add up and lead to you feeling that you have no motivation and hopelessness almost. But if you can balance any of those, not all of those, any of those, you get out of this vicious cycle and you get more into what we refer to as this virtuous cycle, where a little bit of balance here sets off a little bit of balance there, and then you start going in that direction where now your energy comes back a little bit, and now you have the energy to go and do a little bit more of something else. So sometimes that starts with a nutrition supplement, sometimes it starts with that deep breathing, sometimes it starts with changing your diet a little bit.
Start with the gut.
Start with the gut.
The gut is always, as strange as it may sound, it's actually a very great place to start.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but back when I was in graduate school, we would look at, a quote from, Hippocrates or something like that said, all disease begins in the gut, or something like that. And we would have people who would, so I was a nutrition student back in those days, but we would have people say to us, well, that's ridiculous. That's, you see what they didn't know back then. And now it's all coming
full circle. Yeah,
where now we're looking back, and now that we can evaluate that kind of stuff with science, we can measure the microbiome, and we can measure these mood states, and we can take MRIs of the brain and things like that.
They were right all along.
Right, exactly.
The ancient Chinese 5,000 years have been focused on the earth element, the gut, and it causing all illnesses and issues.
Yeah, and that's actually some of where we get some of our best ideas now is to look back 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago and see what were they using, and what did they use then that has survived to this day, and can we put those herbal blends together in a way that can be scientifically validated? And now we have techniques
and
where
now
we can measure it, and we can say, oh my gosh, they were right. And they might have called it chi, and now we measure it as vigor or burnout or mojo or neurotransmitter balance, or there's all kinds of ways that our language today is different from the language of the ancients.
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
They knew a lot.
They really did. For sure.
Yeah, and I think the sort of moral of the story, in my view, all comes back to balance, right? If you're, it isn't so much about solving diseases and curing diseases. I actually like, as a biochemist, I like to try to reframe people when they say, I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm fill in the blank. I like to go back and say, well, why are you feeling that? You're probably feeling that because something's out of balance. How can we rebalance you? And in doing so, we can help you feel better in whatever that way is.
Yeah, that's the whole idea behind Chinese medicine, is creating the balance between the yin and the yang.
Right.
Just creating that state where you feel the best, whether that's with herbs or with exercise or with diet or, all these things we've been talking about.
Right, right. So I'd like to get your perspective on this as a practitioner. I have my perspective as a scientist, but we see when we help people rebalance themselves, right? If we rebalance their microbiome and we get good signaling through their immune system, and they're sensing that in the brain, and they're feeling better mentally, we're seeing people come back and report all these physical benefits. Their aches and pains are less,
oh my gosh,
and wounds
absolutely.
are healing, and skin problems are going away. And they'll see that and they'll go, what's up with that? I came into this for a mood benefit, and now I'm getting this physical benefit. You probably see that in the clinic.
I see it all the time. I'm even with our fundamentals packages that we're using with our Probiotics, I'm seeing patients that have psoriasis or eczema, or just by addressing that gut microbiome, with chronic pain patients as well. Also with using the natural anti-inflammatories, and that's really helpful too. Yeah. You don't have to be on these drugs that are damaging your liver. There's natural options. That's
right. And I see a lot of people who are taking the medications, right? They don't feel the way they want to feel, and they go talk to their doctor about it. And a lot of time, I have a lot of friends who are physicians, and they'll say, I have a lot of people who come to me and they just say, hey doc, something's off. I feel like something, and they'll describe that they feel unbalanced. They feel off is the word that they use a lot.
Yeah.
But the sad thing for that physician is that they don't have a pill they can reach to say, oh, you're off? Here's a pill that's going to get you on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no match
like that. It's a process.
Right. And so what they have is they have prescription antidepressants, and they have prescription anti-anxieties and sleep drugs, which all have really severe side effects.
Exactly.
So, I at least like to encourage people to, reach out to a holistic therapist who can help them say, well, how can we rebalance you? What are some natural therapies that maybe are first line that you can try first before you go to one of those heavy-duty pharma solutions?
Yeah, whether it's an herbalist, a naturopath, an acupuncturist, there's different formulas that can be developed for all different kinds of issues.
Right. Right. So this is a massive issue that we're not going to be able to solve for everybody in a 20 or 25 minute discussion. But just to let you guys know that there are options out there that are clinically validated, that are proven by science, that give meaningful benefits to people that you can feel in a pretty short amount of time. So we're looking at the traditional medicine. We're looking at what works in people's lives, so you can actually plug it in a very simple way, and we're backing that up with science. So would really encourage you to take a look at the website that you can see on the screen right now, and learn some more if you're interested about feeling better and improving your health and
maximizing the mom mojo.
Maximizing the mojo, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, or?
I think we pretty much covered what we can today, but I'd love to be able to communicate further with anyone that's interested.
Okay. Thanks a lot, you guys. Appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you for listening.